The warning. Ambassador Kira walked through the crystalline halls of the Galactic Alliance headquarters, her iridescent scales reflecting the soft blue light. The weight of her mission pressed heavily on her ancient shoulders. After 3,000 cycles of diplomatic service, she had never faced a more crucial task: preventing what could become the greatest military disaster in galactic history. The council chamber doors parted silently before her. 700 representatives from the most powerful civilizations in known space sat in concentric rings, rising like a stadium around the central speaking platform. Their varied forms, from crystalline beings to energy manifestations to more conventional organic species, all turned to focus on her. Honorable Council. Kira began, her translator converting her resonant tones into standard galactic speech. I come before you today not as a representative of the archival collective, but as perhaps the only being alive who truly understands the grave error we are about to commit. High Chancellor Vexthor, his cybernetic enhancements gleaming, leaned forward. You refer to the planned pacification of Sol 3, the human world. His tone carried barely concealed disdain. The vote has already been taken. Their resources and strategic location are too valuable to leave in the hands of a pre-FTL species. Kira raised her ceremonial staff, activating its holographic projector. The chamber filled with images of Earth's various ecosystems and their inhabitants. What you see as a primitive world is actually the most sophisticated defensive system ever evolved. Humanity didn't develop advanced technology because they developed something far more powerful: partnership with their world's apex predators. Laughter rippled through the chamber. A Mechanian representative's lights flickered in amusement. You expect us to fear primitive biological organisms. Our smallest scout ships could vaporize any Earth creature. You misunderstand. Kira switched the projection to historical footage her people had gathered. Humans didn't just survive alongside predators. They formed a unique evolutionary bond with them. Over hundreds of thousands of years, they developed capabilities no other species has matched. The ability to communicate with, coordinate with, and ultimately direct Earth's most deadly hunters. The images showed humans working with various predator species, training wolves, handling big cats, diving with sharks, even evidence of prehistoric partnerships with now extinct species. Their neural patterns have evolved to interface with predator instincts. Every attempt at invasion in their prehistory failed because of this partnership. High Chancellor Vexthor waved his hand dismissively. Ancient history. We are not primitive raiders. We have planet-cracking weapons, shielding beyond their comprehension. And that is exactly why you will fail. Kira's voice hardened. You think like conquerors. Humans think like predators. They don't just command animals. They understand predatory psychology at a fundamental level. They are persistent hunters who never stop, pack hunters who coordinate perfectly, ambush hunters who strike from nowhere. She switched to more recent footage. Military working dogs, mounted police, animal rescue operations. Even in their modern civilization, they maintain these bonds. Every human has the latent ability to connect with predator species. Under threat, they can awaken abilities that have largely gone dormant in their comfortable modern world. What exactly are you suggesting? Asked a representative from the Silicon Consciousness, their avatar flickering with interest. I am telling you that if you invade their world, they will reactivate these ancient bonds. They will coordinate with every predator species on Earth. Your troops will face not just human resistance, but coordinated attacks from wolves hunting in perfect synchronization with human strategy, sharks guided by human intelligence, big cats with human tactical awareness. Even their smallest predators will become deadly weapons when guided by human minds. Absurd. Vexthor stood. The invasion fleet launches in 30 rotations. We will not be deterred by prehistoric mysticism. Kira looked around the chamber, seeing the dismissal in most faces. I have fulfilled my duty to warn you. But remember my words when your soldiers start disappearing in the wilderness, when your bases fall to attacks you never see coming, when you realize that on Earth, humans are not the prey. They are the alpha predators, and they have never forgotten how to hunt. She turned and walked from the chamber, the weight of future deaths already heavy on her conscience. Behind her, the council resumed their invasion planning, confident in their superior technology and dismissive of her warning. They would learn soon enough that on Earth, technology wasn't the only path to power. Sometimes the old ways, tooth and claw guided by human cunning, were the deadliest of all. The archival collective would remember. They always did. And perhaps, after it was over, the galaxy would finally understand why Earth had been left alone for so long. Not because humans were primitive, but because they had mastered something far more primal and powerful than mere technology. The hunt was about to begin. First contact gone wrong. The invasion began at dawn. Galactic Alliance ships descended through Earth's atmosphere like metallic meteors, their advanced cloaking systems rendering them nearly invisible to conventional detection. General Zaxter watched from his command bridge as the first wave of dropships deployed, his mandibles clicking in satisfaction. Phase 1 proceeding as planned. His tactical officer reported, "No significant resistance detected. Human military installations are blind to our presence." Zaxter had studied the briefings thoroughly. Humans relied on primitive radar and radio technologies. Their weapons were childishly simple, chemical propellants, and crude explosives. This would be a textbook pacification operation. The first hint that something was wrong came from Dropship Squadron 7, deploying into the Siberian wilderness. "Command, we're detecting unusual movement patterns." The squadron leader's voice crackled with interference. "Local wildlife is behaving abnormally. All predator species appear to be evacuating the area in coordinated groups." Zaxter dismissed the concern. "Primitive creatures fleeing from our ships. Proceed with the operation." But within hours, similar reports flooded in from across the globe. In the Amazon, jaguars were moving in formation alongside human tribal groups. In North America, wolf packs were gathering around military bases. In the oceans, shark populations were concentrating along expected Alliance naval deployment routes. "Sir," his xenobiologist officer interrupted, her crystalline form pulsing with anxiety. "I'm detecting massive spikes in neural activity from human population centers. Some kind of coordinated biochemical response. Their brains are changing." Before Zaxter could respond, the first casualty reports arrived. Squadron 7 had gone dark. Their last transmission captured only guttural growls and the sounds of rending metal. In the Indian Ocean, an Alliance submarine carrier stopped responding after reporting contact with impossibly coordinated whale pods. "Impossible," Zaxter muttered, watching red dots appear across his tactical display. "Their primitive weapons can't penetrate our shields." "Sir," his tactical officer's voice shook, "they're not using weapons. They're using everything else." The reports poured in faster now. Alliance ground forces found their motion sensors useless, overwhelmed by the signatures of thousands of moving creatures. Electric fences failed against organized attacks from conductive eel swarms. Patrol routes were disrupted by coordinated strikes from big cats that seemed to anticipate every movement. And through it all, human neural activity continued to spike. "They're connecting," the xenobiologist whispered, watching her readings. "Every human within range of a predator species is establishing some kind of neural link. Their brains are adapting, reactivating dormant neural pathways. It's like they're remembering something ancient." Zaxter watched as another squadron went dark in the African savanna. Their final footage showed lions moving with impossible precision, coordinating with human rangers in perfect silence. The pride attacked not like animals, but like trained special forces. "Command," a desperate transmission cut through the chaos. "The humans, they're not controlling the animals. They're communicating, coordinating. Every predator species is acting like it's part of a human military unit. They know our protocols, our formations. They're not just attacking. They're using tactics." In the Amazon, Alliance forces retreated from Jaguars that struck from perfect ambush positions. In the Arctic, entire platoons disappeared as polar bears and orcas worked together to isolate and eliminate them. Every predator species on Earth seemed to have joined the defense, guided by human intelligence while contributing their own lethal capabilities. "Sir," his tactical officer reported grimly, "we've lost contact with 20% of our ground forces. The humans, they're not even using their conventional military yet. They're letting Earth's predators do the fighting for them." Zaxter remembered the warning they'd dismissed. The old ambassador had tried to tell them. Humans weren't just another primitive species. They were Earth's ultimate predators, with the unique ability to coordinate with every other hunter on their world. "All forces," he commanded, "fall back to defensive positions. Maintain altitude above 5,000 meters. Do not, I repeat, do not engage in ground operations." But as his ships pulled back, he saw human neural activity spiking again. And deep in the oceans, something ancient was stirring. Something that humans had long ago learned to communicate with. Something that even Alliance sensors couldn't properly track. The real hunt hadn't even begun. Nature's fury unleashed. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the underground command center of Project Synthesis, watching as hundreds of neural interface displays pulsed with activity. After decades of secret research into humanity's dormant predator bonding abilities, everything they'd theorized was proving true. Neural synchronization at 87% and climbing, her colleague Dr. Marcus Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. The dormant genes are fully awakening in response to the invasion. Every human with the capability is naturally connecting to nearby predator species. Sarah watched the global map, where red dots showed Alliance positions rapidly being overwhelmed by the coordinated defense of Earth's predators. But it wasn't just about raw numbers or strength. It was about the perfect synthesis of human intelligence with predator instinct. In the Indian Ocean, great white sharks coordinated with human naval strategists, creating unprecedented hunting patterns that cut off Alliance supply lines. The sharks didn't just attack. They executed complex military strategies, their natural hunting instincts enhanced by human tactical awareness. Connection established with the Mariana Trench outpost, a technician called out. "They're ready to wake them." Sarah took a deep breath. Do it. Deep beneath the Pacific, ancient creatures that humanity had long ago learned to communicate with began to stir. Massive forms that Alliance sensors couldn't properly track, living fossils that had survived Earth's greatest extinction events. And now they would help defend their world. In orbit, General Zaxter received the reports with growing horror. "Sir, we're detecting massive biological signatures emerging from the ocean depths. Nothing in our database matches these life forms. They're bigger than our capital ships." The tactical display showed impossible readings as creature after creature emerged from the deep. Prehistoric hunters that humans had discovered, communicated with, and gradually formed bonds with over thousands of years of deep-sea exploration. "All ships maintain orbit," Zaxter ordered. But it was too late for some. Alliance vessels hovering too close to the water found themselves snatched by tentacles larger than buildings. Others were rammed by armored forms that had evolved to survive the crushing pressures of the deep ocean. The humans weren't controlling these ancient beings. They were coordinating with them, combining human strategy with instincts honed over millions of years of evolution. On land, the situation was equally dire. In the Siberian wilderness, Alliance forces found themselves hunted by packs of wolves that moved like special forces units. The wolves maintained perfect radio silence, coordinating through their neural link with human operators. They knew Alliance patrol patterns, understood their technology's weaknesses, and struck with lethal precision. In the Amazon, jaguars melted in and out of the shadows, their natural stealth enhanced by human tactical knowledge. They didn't just attack. They sabotaged equipment, created diversions, and herded Alliance troops into deadly ambushes. The humans, an Alliance cynobiologist reported frantically. They're not just communicating with individual animals. They're connecting to entire ecosystems. Every predator species is becoming part of their defense network. Sarah watched from the command center as the strategy unfolded. Humanity had never lost their ancient ability to bond with predators. They'd just forgotten it in their modern world. But now, faced with extinction, those dormant capabilities had roared back to life. Neural synchronization at 92%, Marcus reported. We're seeing unprecedented levels of cooperation between humans and predator species. The invasion triggered exactly what we theorized, a worldwide awakening of humanity's oldest survival mechanism. In Antarctica, orcas and leopard seals coordinated attacks on Alliance landing craft. In Africa, lions and hyenas set aside their ancient rivalries to hunt together, guided by human intelligence. Every predator species on Earth had joined the defense, their natural abilities amplified by human strategic thinking. They're retreating, a technician announced, watching Alliance ships scramble for orbit. Their ground forces are being overwhelmed. But Sarah knew this was just the beginning. The Alliance had awakened something that had lain dormant in humanity for millennia, their true nature as Earth's ultimate apex predators. And now that it was awake, the galaxy would never see humans the same way again. Send word to all commands, she ordered. Operation Synthesis is fully activated. Let's show them why Earth's predators have always been our allies, not our enemies. The hunt was reaching its climax, and humanity was about to demonstrate why they had survived alongside Earth's deadliest hunters for so long. They hadn't tamed their world's predators. They had learned to work with them as equals in the greatest hunting partnership in galactic history. The hunt. High Chancellor Vexthor paced the command deck of the Alliance flagship, his cybernetic implants pulsing with agitation. The holographic displays around him showed scene after scene of military disaster. 50% of their ground forces lost. 30 capital ships disabled. The most powerful invasion fleet in galactic history was being systematically dismantled by what they dismissed as primitive biological organisms. Show me the latest analysis, he commanded. His chief scientist, Dr. Ixtal, projected a complex neural map. The humans aren't using technology to control Earth's predators. They're using something far more sophisticated: evolutionary synchronization. Their ancestors developed these capabilities over hundreds of thousands of years of coevolution with predator species. Explain, Vexthor demanded. While other species developed tools, humans developed partnerships. They learned to think like predators, to communicate with them, to hunt alongside them. This ability became encoded in their DNA, lying dormant until needed. When we invaded, we triggered its reactivation across their entire species. On the tactical displays, another Alliance base went dark. The surveillance footage showed the last moments. A coordinated attack by a wolf pack that moved with military precision, striking power systems and communication arrays with uncanny accuracy. The wolves weren't just attacking. They were executing complex sabotage missions. Sir, a tactical officer called out, we're detecting massive movement in the Pacific Ocean. The screens shifted to show something that made even Vexthor's cybernetic heart skip. A creature larger than their biggest warships was rising from the depths, its ancient form defying classification. And riding on its armored back was a team of human operators, their neural patterns perfectly synchronized with the Leviathan's predatory instincts. That's impossible, Vexthor whispered. Our sensors would have detected creatures that size. No, Dr. Ixtal corrected. These beings have evolved to be virtually undetectable. The humans didn't find them by scanning. They found them by communicating. They've known about these creatures for centuries, gradually building trust and cooperation, just as their ancestors did with wolves and big cats. The Leviathan struck an Alliance carrier. Its attack coordinated with swarms of smaller marine predators. The humans weren't commanding these creatures. They were working with them, combining human strategic thinking with natural hunting instincts honed over millions of years. New contact. The tactical officer's voice cracked. multiple signatures emerging worldwide. More ancient creatures were rising from the deep, each carrying human operators who served not as masters but as partners in the hunt. They moved with impossible coordination, executing military strategies that combined human tactical knowledge with predatory precision. In orbit, Vexthor watched his carefully planned invasion crumble. Alliance ships were being herded into killing zones by swarms of flying predators coordinating with aquatic hunters below. Every attempt to establish a ground presence was met with perfectly coordinated resistance from local predator species. "Sir," his tactical officer reported grimly, "we've lost contact with our entire Australian deployment. The humans, they're using everything. Saltwater crocodiles hitting our waterborne forces. Packs of dingoes taking out our ground units. Even the venomous species are being coordinated for strategic strikes." Dr. Ixtal's voice was filled with scientific awe. "Their neural synchronization is still increasing. Every human within range of a predator species is connecting, sharing intelligence and instinct. They're not just fighting us. They're teaching us why they became Earth's apex predators in the first place." A transmission cut through their communications, broadcasting on all frequencies. The sender identified herself as Dr. Sarah Chen of Project Synthesis. "You thought we were primitive because we hadn't developed your level of technology." Her voice was calm but carried an edge of predatory satisfaction. "You never understood that we chose a different path. We learned to work with our world's predators, to think like them, to hunt like them. Every human carries this ability in their DNA, the product of countless generations of evolution alongside Earth's greatest hunters." Vexthor watched as another capital ship went dark, swarmed by flying predators coordinating with massive forms striking from the waters below. "We're not controlling these beings," Dr. Chen continued. "We're hunting with them. Every predator species on Earth is part of humanity's extended pack, and you just threatened their territory." The last transmission from their Australian forces played across the command deck. "They're not primitives. They're the ultimate apex predators, and we're in their hunting grounds." Vexthor finally understood. They hadn't invaded a primitive world. They'd invaded Earth's hunting grounds, where humanity had spent countless generations learning to work with every predator species on the planet. And now, those ancient partnerships had been reawakened. The hunt wasn't just continuing. It was about to reach its climax. Respect the pack. 3 months after the failed invasion, Ambassador Kiora stood once again before the Galactic Council. But this time, she wasn't alone. Dr. Sarah Chen stood beside her, and behind them both, a massive holoscreen showed live feeds from Earth, wolves patrolling alongside human rangers, sharks coordinating with naval vessels, and in the deep oceans, the ancient leviathans that had helped turn the tide of war. "The Alliance lost 60% of its invasion force," Kiora stated, her voice echoing through the silent chamber. "Not to advanced weapons or superior technology, but to something far older, the most successful predatory partnership in Earth's history." Dr. Chen stepped forward, her presence commanding despite her small size compared to the alien delegates. "For too long, the galaxy has mistaken our technological development for our true capability. You saw our cities, our relatively simple weapons, and assumed we were primitive. You never asked why we hadn't developed certain technologies." She gestured to the holoscreen, where a pack of wolves was executing perfect formation maneuvers alongside human special forces. "We didn't need to develop many weapons because we had already formed alliances with the greatest hunters Earth had produced. Every human carries the genetic legacy of countless generations who learned to hunt alongside predators." The Council watched in stunned silence as the feeds showed scene after scene of human-predator cooperation. In the Amazon, jaguars worked with indigenous trackers to monitor for remaining Alliance technology. In the oceans, pods of orcas coordinated with human naval vessels, their natural hunting abilities enhanced by human strategic thinking. "What you witnessed," Dr. Chen continued, "wasn't some hidden superweapon. It was the reawakening of humanity's oldest survival strategy. When threatened, we don't just fight as individuals. We fight as part of Earth's entire predator network. High Chancellor Vexthor, his cybernetic implants still showing damage from the invasion, spoke quietly. How many predator species can humans bond with? All of them. Dr. Chen's answer was simple but profound. Every predator species on Earth has evolved alongside humans. We don't control them. We communicate, coordinate, and hunt together. From the smallest hunting spider to the ancient leviathans in our oceans, every predator on Earth is potentially part of humanity's extended pack. The Xenobiologist Council member leaned forward. But surely this ability has limits. In response, Dr. Chen activated a neural interface device on her wrist. The holoscreen shifted to show live feeds from the Mariana Trench, where massive shapes moved in the darkness. We've been communicating with Earth's ancient hunters for generations. Your invasion simply reminded us how deep those bonds go. The council chamber erupted in murmurs as they recognized the creatures, the same ones that had torn apart Alliance capital ships like toys. Humanity's path to advancement wasn't through overwhelming force or technological superiority, Dr. Chen explained. It was through partnership, understanding. We became Earth's apex predators not by dominating other hunters, but by learning to work with them. Every human carries this ability. It's coded into our DNA, a gift from countless generations of ancestors who survived by forming bonds with predator species. Ambassador Kira stepped forward again. The Alliance now understands why Earth was left alone for so long. You're not simply facing a primitive species with basic weapons. You're facing an entire planet of coordinated hunters, led by beings who evolved to become the ultimate apex predators through cooperation rather than dominance. The council was silent for a long moment before the High Chancellor spoke again. What are your terms? Dr. Chen's smile carried an edge of predatory satisfaction. Earth will join the galactic community, not as a conquered world, but as an equal partner. And know this, we recognize all of Earth's predators as part of our extended pack. Threaten any of them, and you face all of us. As if to emphasize her point, the holoscreen showed new images, human neural patterns synchronizing with predator instincts across the globe, a worldwide network of hunters working in perfect harmony. We welcome peaceful contact, Dr. Chen concluded. But remember, Earth isn't just our home, it's our hunting ground, and we hunt as a pack. The council chamber filled with the sound of delegates signaling agreement. They had learned an expensive lesson. Technological superiority wasn't everything. Sometimes the oldest alliances, tooth and claw guided by human cunning, were the most powerful force of all. As Kira watched the proceedings, she smiled. The galaxy had finally understood what she had known all along. Humans weren't primitives playing with simple weapons. They were Earth's ultimate predators, beings who had mastered something far more powerful than mere technology. The ability to think, move, and hunt as one with every predator species on their world. The age of underestimating humanity was over. The pack had shown its strength, and the galaxy would never forget.